There is one leftover sitting in many kitchens right now. It looks normal, it smells normal, and when people reheat it, they think it becomes safe again. But sometimes that is the mistake. This is the story of leftover rice. Not because rice is bad. Rice is one of the most common foods in the world. Millions of families eat it every day. But cooked rice has one hidden problem. If it is handled the wrong way after cooking, it can become dangerous. And the most surprising part is this: the danger does not always go away when you reheat it. Let's start with a simple scene. A family cooks rice for dinner. Everyone eats. There is still some rice left in the rice cooker or on the table. The family is tired. They say, "It's okay, we will keep it later." 1 hour passes. Then 2 hours. Then maybe the rice sits there until morning. The next day, someone looks at it and says, "It still looks fine." So they reheat it, maybe in the microwave, maybe in a pan. Maybe they turn it into fried rice. It gets hot again. It smells good, so they eat it. A few hours later, the stomach pain starts. Nausea, cramps, vomiting, diarrhea. And they wonder, how did this happen? I reheated it. That is where many people misunderstand the problem. The problem is not always the reheating. The problem may have started hours earlier, when the rice was left sitting at room temperature. Cooked rice, pasta, and potatoes are starchy foods, and starchy foods can be connected to a bacteria called Bacillus cereus. This bacteria can form spores. Spores are like a survival mode. Cooking can kill many bacteria, but some spores can survive cooking. When the food is hot, the spores are not the main problem, but when cooked rice cools down slowly and sits too long at room temperature, the spores can wake up. They can grow, and in the wrong conditions, they can produce toxins. That is the scary part, because some toxins can be heat stable. That means reheating may not destroy them. So, even if the rice becomes hot again, the toxin may still be there. This is why people sometimes call it fried rice syndrome. Not because fried rice is automatically dangerous. Fried rice can be safe. The danger happens when cooked rice is left out too long before being fried again. So the real enemy is not rice. The real enemy is time and temperature. There is a temperature range known as the danger zone. In food safety, bacteria grow faster between about 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That is around 4 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. This is the range where food is not cold enough to slow bacteria down and not hot enough to stop them. Room temperature can sit inside this danger zone. So when rice is left on the counter, it may look harmless, but invisible things can be happening. The longer it stays there, the higher the risk. This is why food safety experts give one simple rule: refrigerate leftovers within 2 hours. If the room is very hot, do it faster. If the temperature is above 90 degrees Fahrenheit or around 32 degrees Celsius, refrigerate within 1 hour. And if food has already been sitting out too long, do not try to save it by reheating. Throw it away. That may feel wasteful, but food poisoning is more expensive than leftover rice. Now let's make it practical. Imagine you cooked a large pot of rice. Dinner is finished. What should you do? First, do not leave it sitting for hours. Second, cool it faster. Do not keep a huge amount of hot rice in one deep container for too long. A big pile cools slowly. The center can stay warm for a long time. And warm food gives bacteria more time to grow. Instead, divide the rice into smaller containers. Spread it thinner. Let the heat escape faster. Then put it in the refrigerator. The goal is simple: move the rice out of the danger zone as fast as possible. When you want to eat it again, reheat it properly. Make it steaming hot. Do not warm only the edges while the middle stays cold. But remember, reheating is not magic. Reheating helps if the food was stored safely. It cannot always fix food that was left out too long. That is the key lesson. Safe storage comes before safe reheating. Now, what about pasta? The same idea can apply. Pasta is also a cooked starchy food. If pasta sits out for hours, the risk can increase. What about potatoes? Same thing. Cooked potatoes, especially if wrapped or kept warm for too long, can also become risky if handled poorly. The rule is not only for rice. The rule is for leftovers in general. Cool it safely, store it quickly, reheat it properly, and eat it within a reasonable time. A good habit is to label leftovers. Write the date. Put it in the fridge. Eat it within a few days. If you cannot remember when you stored it, that is already a warning sign. Now let's talk about one common mistake. Some people say, wait until the food is completely cool before putting it in the fridge. This sounds logical, but if waiting means the food sits outside for hours, that is risky. You do not need to leave leftovers on the counter all night. You can divide the food into shallow containers so it cools faster, then refrigerate it. The fridge is there to slow bacteria growth. Use it early. Another mistake is trusting smell. People say, if it smells fine, it is fine. That is not always true. Dangerous bacteria or toxins do not always make food smell bad. Food can look normal and still make you sick, so do not use smell as your only test. Use time. Use temperature. Use safe storage. Here is a simple story. A young man came home late. He saw leftover rice on the table. His family had cooked it many hours earlier. He was hungry. He thought, no problem, I will just fry it. He added oil, added egg, added soy sauce. The fried rice smelled amazing. He ate it. A few hours later, his stomach turned. He felt nausea, then cramps, then vomiting. The rice was not the problem when it was fresh. The problem was what happened between dinner and midnight. It was left too long, and the heat from frying could not undo everything. That is the lesson. Food safety is not only about cooking. It is also about what happens after cooking. For many families, this is easy to fix. You do not need expensive tools. You do not need to throw away every leftover. You just need better timing. Here are the 4 simple rules. Rule number 1. Cool it fast. After cooking, do not let rice, pasta, or other leftovers sit for hours. Move them into smaller containers so they cool faster. Rule number 2. Refrigerate quickly. Use the 2-hour rule. If the food has been sitting at room temperature for more than 2 hours, the safe choice is to throw it away. In hot weather, use the 1-hour rule. Rule number 3. Do not trust reheating to fix everything. Reheat leftovers until hot. But if the food was stored badly, reheating may not remove the risk. Rule number 4. When in doubt, throw it out. This rule sounds simple, but it can protect your family. Because the goal is not to be scared of rice. The goal is to respect time and temperature. Rice is not your enemy. Pasta is not your enemy. Potatoes are not your enemy. The enemy is leaving cooked food in the danger zone for too long. So the next time you finish dinner, do one small thing. Look at the leftovers. Do not say, I will deal with it later, because later can become too late. Put it away properly. Protect your stomach. Protect your family. And remember this, the safest leftover is not the one you reheat the most. It is the one you store correctly from the beginning. One story, one lesson, every day.